Yeah.
It's the
How
ribs
is it?
brought out the country music.
That's good.
It's good, right? It is good.
That is phenomenal.
Yeah, that's Bear Holman's sauce.
That's what what's his name uses? Stale cracker.
Yeah.
Put that shit on a cracker, dude.
Yep, absolutely. So it's really, really good stuff.
All right.
So we're proud to have him on the show.
It's good enough that I just had a taste that I have to do a little something with it just because.
Yeah. So we're all going to take some. So Chippy brought in ribs.
Let's dip it in the W sauce.
Right here.
You want a plate for?
I'll take a plate.
Yeah. Here we need another plate. Here, we can share that. It don't matter. It's just dipping,
that's
right?
So sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is right here. This is actually the vegan Shire, and I guess the only difference is, what did you say? There's just no anchovies in it, right? Is that the difference? And then we have the America's Worcestershire, which is like the full-on Worcestershire, and
Then
there's the Fireshire too.
That's fantastic.
The what?
Worcestershire sauce?
I can't say it.
I can't say.
Worcester.
You know what everybody makes me say I can't say?
Worcestershire.
What?
Worcestershire sauce.
What?
Is that the right way? Worcestershire?
Worcestershire.
I don't even know what you're trying to say. You can't say funeral?
You can't really?
Can you say kombucha, Chip?
I'm telling you, Eddie makes me say it to everything.
I
won't say it.
Now you have to say funeral.
We're on a charter. Like they say that word, and I won't even. I'm like, stop.
All right.
What word?
Funeral.
You go put the mic closer so we can actually hear you say that. Say it. Come on, say it.
Funeral.
Chip, we're here, man. People pay good money to listen to this show.
Funeral.
There you go. That was funeral. That was funeral. Chip's rendition of funeral for all you kids listening at home. So, all right. So, listen. I am enamored by the fact that y'all walked in with arms full of ribs. When you walked through the front door, I was pretty excited about that. So, I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Has it happened before? Has people brought in ribs yet?
Jim did for when we did the Miami Dolphins preseason report.
Oh, nice.
And then he brought in some ribs for that, and they were phenomenal. But I will say, all right, so you did challenge Jim,
150%,
right?
But it's got to be
when we
like
did our Facebook Live, and I don't think you
be
realized
here,
you were on Facebook
like
Live.
Matt White's house. It's got to be at a setting where we have true judges, and
we'll do it here.
Okay.
We'll do it here, and we'll do a whole thing about it.
Absolutely.
100%.
We'll go full on
right?
off.
Because I will say this: when you said I'm going to challenge Jim, I laughed.
He's probably going to destroy me.
Then I tasted your ribs, and I was like, all right, you're going to challenge Jim. We're going to do this because I think
he's going to destroy Jim, is what he said.
I did not.
That's right. He did say that.
Oh my God, Jim's going to hate me.
You did say that. That's right. All right. So you're going to destroy Jim. Right now, Jim's like, he's already started the cooking. He hasn't even heard the shit.
I know. He's like, I'm going to kill Chippy.
He's like, let's do it.
I never had Jim's ribs, but I'm going to stand solid next to my boy Chip Sheehan and say that he's going to give anybody a run for their money.
So our buddy, just to give people a little bit of background, Jim Ruback, our good friend. I've known Jim since the 4th grade, and he is really just a master griller. And he's got Fear of the Cook is the name of his kind of thing, and his nickname is the Pig Reaper.
Really?
So, yeah. So that's what they call him. So because it's to die for. So yeah. So all right, W sauce hooking it up too. Tastes good with the W sauce. I like it. So all right. Before we get started, I want to remind people that you are listening to the Connected by Water podcast, powered by Joey Cardi Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, and fueled by our very good friends at Papa's Pilar Rum, who remind you never to be a spectator. We are drinking rum today, except for Tigger, who is not of age. I just want to make that ultimately clear that Tigger is not drinking at the table, and you got your coffee going. We're having a good time. It's a rainy day. No one's fishing. The wind is blustering out there. They kept blowing my front door open. I want to remind everyone that if you're listening on YouTube or watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, click that like button, and also if you're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, we thank you very much for listening to us on your ride home or your ride to work or your ride to your favorite fishing spot. So here we are, right?
Yep.
I got my good friend Chip bringing in the ribs. I got my good friend Tony hanging out with us, coming in early and giving us the good hangout, and I love it. And I'm meeting Tigger for the first time here today.
Yeah.
So, and we spoke on the phone the other day.
Yes.
Right? Just so people know how this all came about. This is really very impromptu. Chip calls me out of the blue. Right? He says, hey, is someone here want to talk to you? He hands the phone off. It's Bouncer. Bouncer says hi, wants to go fishing, all this stuff like that. And I said, oh, well, I got to fill a spot for Monday. He says, why don't you do Chip? I'm like, oh, that's perfect. Right? And the Chip said yes. Right? Then he goes, oh, I think Tigger would be a great addition to the show. And I spoke to you for about 30 seconds. I couldn't agree more. Right? So just to give a little background on you. Right? You've been a fisherwoman your whole life.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, since like 5 years old,
Right.
I've been fishing on the Sea Mist, drift boat out of Boynton, same marina as Chip.
Nice.
Ever since I was little, just got thrown into it and loved it.
Awesome. And you're 17 years old.
Yep.
You're hardcore, and you're going to be 18 by the end of the month.
Yep.
And you're going into the Coast Guard.
Yep.
Love it. God bless America. Tony.
Yes, sir.
I'm so happy to have you here.
Hey, it's an honor to be here. I've listened to the podcast several times.
Nice.
A lot of my favorite people in South Florida are on it, so I like to listen, and including Bouncer and Chipper here and Art Sapp and all those type guys.
We try to bring on, like, not only just like, this is what Connected by Water is. It's our friends, our community. It's our kind of like coconut telegraph, so to speak, of all the people that, are really, it's funny because Yanni and I were talking about it before the show about, really what it all means, the people that we bring on, like what they mean. And we kind of like we're talking through it, and like, what really comes down to, like, we bring on people on the show that are important in our community, that are important just in the culture of what we are. But why is that? And I really think that you got a bunch of people coming on this show that aren't in their careers because they're following a path of money. They're in their careers because they're following a path of passion.
Yes.
Right? And that's really, I think, everybody I could say that about everybody that's been on this show. Like, everybody, like, sold their souls to passion in the path that they walk in their lives, right? And that is everybody that's been on the show. And you guys are definitely no different than that, because we're all doing what we love to do. We're all hanging out and interacting with the people that we love and cherish, and and that's really what it's all about to us.
Absolutely. I think that's a good point too, because it could be one of the most important pieces of advice that you could ever give is you could have I know a lot of people got a lot of money that can't stand what they do. They're miserable all the time, and it's because they're not doing what they love to do. So if you're not doing what you love to do, try to find a way to do it. Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. And we got the world's favorite bartender, Carlene, behind the bar, hanging out, right? We got Angela over there on the couch, hanging out with Catherine, right? So we got a full boat in here today, the way I like it.
Perfect.
The way I like it. All right, so the funny thing happened the other day. Tony asked me a question. He's like, what are we going to talk about on the show? And I said, well, I don't know. And then I never know, because this is all completely an organic format. But one thing that I did say to him was, I said, we might talk about being present in your community and, being like a responsible community member, which I know you guys all are, right? So, so I thought that was kind of a cool thing, because, I mean, we're representing like the Pelagic crew here today. Right. And, and God knows we love the Pelagic crew. We love the Pelagic family. We got nothing but love for them in our hearts. But Pelagic really does a lot to give back. And even the stuff that you do with Papa's Raw Bar and the Pelagic Nights, and just what that program generates alone, and then what you do for conservation with Keep Fish Wet and all that is really, really important to the community. So I was hoping you guys could talk about some of that today.
Yeah, well, I think that just in the fishing community as a whole, anywhere around the world, especially in the United States, whether it's on a stream in Montana or on the Atlantic Ocean here or out on the West Coast, it's pretty incredible what the fishing community does in general for other members of the community, charity, people at need, veterans, kids with cancer. I mean, the list goes on and on. To me, it's probably one of the greatest things about our industry is that whenever there's somebody in need, if you have fishermen around and you ask them to step up and help, someone's going to step up and help, and they're going to rally the troops, and they're going to make whatever needs to happen. And I just think, other industries have some of that, but I just think it's a very special thing to fishermen in general. I think it's just part of being a fisherman or a fisherwoman. Everything from feeding yourself to feeding other people to you're out on the water and, it can be dangerous out there. You're relying on other people sometimes who you don't even know to maybe, help you out, do you a favor. So I just think that whole concept of helping and helping other people is just part and parcel to being in the fishing industry.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I find all the time. And then, I just think to have to really, really, if you're going to live a quality of life and live a life worth living, I always feel like you should be living a life of purpose. And the more things
we bring that word up a lot on the show for sure.
And the more purpose you have and the more things you do like that, you'll find that not only you're helping a lot of other people, but you're helping yourself too, to really live your life and really appreciate things and experience stuff. When you help a lot of people out, you also meet other like-minded people. It's an incredible way to network with people, and you end up doing some amazing things together. So it's something that I really, really, as I've gotten older, I've always been into it, but as I've gotten older, I just like to give back more and more and more, just because I've been so blessed with the people that have done the same for me and the people that have mentored me over the years, and it goes back to my parents, and I just feel like I've been blessed. So why not help somebody else along the way?
Yeah, that's great. Chippy, you're definitely no stranger to this either.
No, and it's interesting when you said the word passion, and you see somebody as young as Tigger, and you see it happen all the time, especially me. Passion in fishing is you start out at this young age, and it's like money doesn't matter. You just want to go catch the fish. You want to catch fish. You want to catch fish. You want to become the best fisherman. Nothing matters. And then as you get older, you kind of see, like, you kind of develop it. It takes a little bit older to see how it's. Even to when, like, it didn't used to not matter how rough it was, and now it's like, man, I don't want to go get my people beat up, and
like today.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like today. And it's as you get older, you really change. You go from, but you still have to have that passion, and that's what makes the best fisherman in the world, in my opinion. Is if you don't have the passion to want to go. If you're a mate for me and you're, I don't want to go with that guy. He gave us $100 tip. You got to go because you want to go catch the fish. You don't want to go because you're worried about what tip you're going to make, and that's why you're there early. And that's why you enjoy the camaraderie and you enjoy being on the dock, and you got to take the good days with the bad days. But then as you get older and things develop, like Tony said, you start realizing there's this, like, basically, not to sound a little corny, kind of connected by water in one way, or connected by a bond, and everybody has each other's back, and everybody always is. It's like the other day, Bouncer was at the dock, and he left. He's like, my AC's broken. So I called my uncle. I'm like, hey, I got to get my friend's truck in there, this, that, and the other. And Nick looks at me and he's like, hey, I'll chip in, you chip in, this, that, and the other. We got to get this guy's AC fixed. And it's just things like that, and it's so cool how we come together, kind of like as a family, and we just look out for each other. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, going back to even what you were saying too about the fishermen seem to always be on the forefront of any time like assistance is needed. One of the great examples is the hurricanes. When we have the hurricanes, it's always the fishing community that rises up first. They're the first boots on the ground to, assisting people that are in need or getting things done. And really, it's really, really tough to find a fisherman or a captain or some sort of program that gets asked and they say no. Like, usually, more often than not, they're like, no, we'll help. And this is another reason why, too, it's so tough when people go against the fishing community, whether it's like some sort of legislation or some sort of kind of aggressive nature towards fishing or the outdoors or something like that. It's like, well, no, this is a freedom cycle that we're working through here, and it's really one of the last, I think, pioneering. I don't want to say careers, but I'm going to say more like a vocation, like a calling, because it doesn't have to be your job. You know what I mean? If you're a fisherman, it's just more like a vocational, like a spirit, a calling to it.
Yeah.
And it's without sounding corny, it's almost what it means to be an American. Is to be a hunter or a fisherman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Really.
Yep.
Agreed.
Yeah, in some weird kind of odd way.
Yeah.
So, and it was so for you, right? Going into the Coast Guard, right?
Mhm.
But just growing up literally with water beneath your feet at all times. I mean, explain to me your decision process. Is this something that you've always wanted to do, or just something that just kind of hit you recently?
So Coast Guard pretty much hit me a couple months ago.
Okay.
I mean, being a charter captain, it's tough. Like that was my big dream. Like, I'm gonna be like a great charter captain. You know, I see Chip down the dock, all the guys down the dock. I'm like, that's what I want to do. I want to fish every day. But Coast Guard, I get to run boats, which is what I want to do, and it comes with benefits, everything, and it's military, which is always something I've been respectful to and liked.
Yeah.
Because of the American part of it and everything.
That's great, and I think it's really a smart move for you too, because you can lay your foundation and almost like
she can always come back.
Yeah, you could always be the captain.
Yeah,
you could always run boats, and I got buddies that are in the Coast Guard that are doing it now. They're running 100-ton programs and big stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
or they're just running like offshore programs or yacht programs or whatever. There's always going to be a good foundational career for you ahead. But I think you giving yourself that base in the Coast Guard is going to be a really good springboard for you.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, and I'm proud to have you on the show. I'm proud to have you sitting next to me and be serving your country for us.
Here.
So thank you in advance. So
yeah, it's really cool. It's a great decision, I think, Maddie. And a lot of times kids, when they get excited about something, they want to just get to the end of the race or to the top of the mountain as quickly as they possibly can, and they forget that there's a lot of stuff on the way to that journey that you need to learn and know. And the more exposure you have to different things and different places that you travel and different people you meet and different engine types, different electronics, I mean, just as much.
You're going to get certifications and all that.
As much variety as you can get when you're young. Yeah, well, you're going to miss a few years on the charter boat docks, but guess what? Who cares? You're going to be seeing Antarctica, and you're going to be learning about all these incredible things. You'll be serving our country. I mean, on and on and on.
Changing your perspective.
Yeah, and when you get out, you're going to be a better person. You're going to have incredible amounts of knowledge that you don't have now, and you're just going to be a better fisherman, a better captain when you get there. And you're young, so go for it.
Everybody thinks she's so much older. I always did too.
Everyone always thinks I'm like 25 or 24 on the boat. Like all these guys come up to me, I'm like, man.
Well, that's young too, though.
So I grew up with her. I grew up with her dad, and her dad and me used to go up coast and surf together. And he passed away a couple years ago, 3 years ago, and he used to. I remember him coming up to me. He's like, "Man, my daughter just won't stop fishing. I had to go buy a boat because she wants to fish. She wants to fish. She wants to fish." So he went and bought this little center console and. She'd fish with him, and she'd always want to keep fishing, so she'd always be on the sea mist. If I'm right, if I'm not telling the story,
you're right, man. Always fishing.
And next thing you know, she's working pretty much. She's every day that she can on the sea mist, and I'm like, who is this girl? And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's Jason Beltry's daughter, and she's the light of the marina. Like I'm like, I gotta hire her. Every charter boat there is like, we want to hire her, and she's hell bent on staying with that boat, and she loves it. That's her family working down there on that boat. But you see women today, and there's some great women fishermen, and then there's some that dabble. But you see Maddie come down at the end of the dock, and she looks like she just came out of a cooler, and she's the first one there. She's there before anybody. Every single I remember getting there one day like 6:30. The boat doesn't leave at 8 or 6 o'clock in the morning. She's there icing the boat by herself, pulling out all the flats. Nobody, not a mate's there, not a captain's there, and she just charges it, and that's passion. That's what we talked about, passion. That's what makes you the passion. It makes you the fisherman that you are. So it's pretty cool.
That's funny.
It's inspiring.
I'm just getting to know Maddie too over the last few months, and I've gained a great deal of respect for her and learning about her and watching some of the stuff she does. But that's exactly, even as a guy, when I was young, I had a thing where I purposely said, I'm going to be the first guy in the cockpit on the dock. I didn't care where I was, Venezuela, St. Thomas, didn't matter what happened the night before. I was going to be the first one in the cockpit, and I was going to be the last one to leave every day.
That's her.
And it's so funny when Chip says about how everyone wants you to work on the boats. That's exactly how I started getting along, was somebody would be watching out of the salon over the course of a season on another boat. And after the season was over, I'd get a phone call, and it would be an owner of a boat say, hey, I watched you all year in St. Thomas. I want you on my boat next year. What can I do to hire you? So you've got it licked. That's a good way to go about it. And again, you can't fake that. If you're not going to be up the first one on the boat unless you really want to be there. I even had a mate one time that thought he was going to, outsmart me and be up before I did. So I saw that was going to happen. So I went in the middle of the night. I snuck out of my bunk, and I went down the engine room, and I slept down there. The next morning, when he was rolling around in the cockpit thinking that he was the first one in the cockpit, I poked my head out. I go, oh, how you doing? Good afternoon. I go, what took you so long? So I love it. First one to be there and last one to leave. That's a good way to go.
That's the way to be. And the captains love it, too. I mean, nothing inspires a captain or makes a captain's day more than that. Yeah. You know what I mean? And even really any employee.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's really jacked up to come to work like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? For sure. When you look at it from a fun standpoint, and then you look at it from a work standpoint, I mean, you're a professional captain. I mean, you see the value in that for sure. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to find. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You think it's commonplace for you, but it's not commonplace. It's definitely a rare thing. So
yeah, that's what made you do that? Is just because
get up early and stuff? Busy. If I know I have 30 people, I'm getting up at 6, going there and getting the boat ready, so that I can rig out my troller, get all my stuff out, and just have everything ready.
That's what you're thinking the night before? Oh, I got 30 people. I need to get there a little bit early tomorrow. I got to get ABC done. Oh, I'm going to try out this new Wahoo lure. Maybe I get that rigged up.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good. That's the way to do it.
Usually it's the speed. My dad taught me a long time ago that it's the speed of the men is the speed of the boss. But you really never had the person that made you. I mean, maybe your dad did. I wasn't with him for the last years before, but maybe somebody else did. But usually it's a stricter boss whether you're in like that's when I was in the car business. Like my dad would be like, the speed of the men or the speed of the boss, and I kind of brought that into fishing. And I've said that to the mates or actually more to the captains like Eddie that runs the boat. I'm like, dude, you can't show up late and expect your mate to show up early. I go, it doesn't work like that. You got to show him that you're going to work as hard as he works, and you have to show him that you're going to be there. You've done every blood, labor, everything that you expect him to do, and you got to be able to do it better than him. And
that is the truth. And then, in any profession, I mean that really is. I mean, the people that follow you are only going to follow you so much. If you can't bring back the same energy or the same intensity.
The speed of the man or the speed of the boss.
Yeah, that is no truer words have been spoken. That's for sure.
Your crew's always watching you. I mean, in my career, I was very fortunate that I had all these unbelievable. I mean, if you go over the list of the guys that I was tutored by, I mean, Laurie Wright, Peter Wright, Skip Smith, Dan Timmons, Rick DeFio, I mean, Bouncer Smith. Every guy is like a legendary guy, and they all were unbelievably passionate.
That stuff matters.
And, those are the guys that showed me the ropes, and I couldn't help but succeed. If I didn't listen to them, I'd be stupid.
Right.
And so I just, and then they make you, because those types of guys are also looking to help young guys along, and they'll look to see. So if they see that if you're not passionate, they're not going to call you up on the bridge or go out of their way, because they just figure, well, whatever, maybe this is a summer job for the kid or something he's going to do for a few years. But a really good captain like that, like Chip will tell you, he knows, he saw Maddie. You can tell when somebody has that drive and passion.
And the coolest thing about it is, as once you become a great fisherman in life, whether it's me or Art or Tim Maddox or Jimmy David, when you see one bloom, you as like me, I'm like, whoa, who's that? Mm-hmm. And you just like look, and you're like was talking to Pelagic and this, like, oh, we need to find people. I'm like, well, what's that guy John Henry? He's really good. Now John Henry's fishing on Michael Jordan's boat. All of a sudden, this is all like developed in the next 4 or 5 months after I went to John Henry. Next, he's fishing, or you just like this morning. I saw some. I don't even know the name of his boat. He's in it's out of Texas, and he's got an invincible cat. And I was just on Instagram, I'm like, dude, that dude looks like he knows what's going on. Some young kid, and you just see it as like they bloom. And then they just start going, because they have the passion.
Yeah, and then if you're that way, even when you're young, you can go up and ask, a real legendary guy on the dock or anything else to show you how to rig something. Or, hey, Cap, I know we're navigating between, point A and point B. Can you kind of show me on the chart where we're going, all these? And captains that know you're passionate about, there's nothing that gives us more of a thrill. We want to help, so we're going to take you, like somebody like that, we're going to take you under the wing, and we're going to show you as much as we can show you. We want to be, like, I love it when younger people or anybody asks me a question or wants me to show something that they don't know about or are curious to learn it. I'm happy to do it because I see the same thing in that person as what I felt when I was that age. So
questions are so important too. And people need to feel comfortable in their environment to be able to ask them. It's really what keeps the whole thing flowing.
A lot of people get intimidated by like the top guys, like even in sports. Like if you really look at some of the stuff, the top guys, like if there was young people on the teams that were really curious and passionate about something, all those top guys are behind the scenes most of the time are willing to talk, to once that kid proves himself, they're willing to help and to give them some advice and to answer those questions. And a lot of times people are intimidated and they go, oh, that guy will never talk to me, or that captain, he's caught more granders. I've never met him before. He's not going to talk to me. Well, that's not the case. If you go down there and show up and hang out and show that you're interested and you're curious, guys like that are definitely going to.
That's what makes me go right to Tigger. I'm like, who's that girl? That girl's working her ass off. She's positive. She talks to everybody. Everybody's Tigger, 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 Tigger. You hear all the time. Now I'm very good friends with her. And I'm like, wow. I guess she's amazing. It's pretty neat.
That's awesome.
It's pretty cool to see.
I'm always drawing parallels with fishing and art because I think there's so many commonalities between it all. You talked about the up and coming and the bloomers and everything. Yeah. I could see it with artists all the time. People that are turning the corner. Yeah. I see people posting all the time and working on their craft, and they're being honest with their posts, and they're saying, I'm trying to get this lighting shade. I'm working on this, or they're talking about the details they're working on. I see them work through their problems, and I'll look at them again a couple months later. I'm like, man, that problem that you used to have, you don't have it anymore. You really turned a corner on that, and it's nice to see. And then a lot of times they'll come to me and ask me for advice, and I am more than willing to tell them and just give them solid street advice and just business.
Yeah, but he's right. He's right. Like, there's probably people that are scared to death to come to you, and they're scared to death to be like, oh, if they don't know you or know somebody that knows you, can you ask him for me?
A lot of times people are very surprised that I'm willing to talk about the things that I'm talking about, and I got no problem with it because I remember what it's like to be that person that's so starving for that information. Yeah. Because there's things that can be taught to you in school. There's things you can learn at work, but there's only there's the important things that life teaches you, the trial and error stuff, right? And you got to pass that on to other people, and just help that. If it was passed on to me, I could pass it on to them. Same thing. And another thing too is people got to think about, like on a boat, and you're talking to a captain, you think that captain doesn't want to answer your question. Put yourself in his shoes. Would you rather be a captain that has the person make the mistake because they're afraid to ask the question, or would you rather answer the question and you can tell them to do it your way? Yeah. Right. So for those young and up and comers who are afraid to ask a question, just ask the question. If that person doesn't answer the question, then you probably shouldn't be fishing with them.
It's funny. There's a funny story. When Dan Timmons was alive, when I was working for Dan Timmons, one time he told me that of all the boats he ran, he felt most comfortable traveling, and the only time he could ever get any sleep was when I was working for him. And he didn't mean it that I was the best navigator or that I was the best at the electronics and knew how to work everything as an expert and never made mistakes, and he could just go away and knew I would get the boat to where it needed to be. The reason he said that is because he knew that when I was on watch, no matter what, I would not, if I had a question, even if it seemed like it might be a stupid question, I would not hesitate to go and wake him up and ask him to help me instead of running the boat on the rocks and waking him up that way, which guys will do.
That's what I mean.
I don't want to wake up my captain. Well,
certainly.
And we worked together for a lot of years, so he knew that he was comfortable knowing that I would do that. So therefore, he could go to sleep and sleep for 2 or 3 hours because he knew anything that was going to happen, I was going to alert him to it. I wasn't just going to try to pretend like I knew what I was doing and cover it up or something. So
yeah,
it's good to speak up.
100%. How you doing over there, Carlene? Yeah,
you're quiet.
So let's break this down a little bit here. All right, let's switch gears on it. Right now, you have any questions over there that you want to ask?
Ship's favorite color, hull.
All right,
favorite color what?
Boat.
Hull. So, who asked that question?
Let me pull this up.
Whisper gray.
That's the color of my boat.
Well, you probably copied me.
Probably.
Let me see. We got some questions from.
They're all kind of. There's only 2 of them. Everybody's about this one question. Wants to know who Randy Yates is.
Oh my God, are you serious?
That's when you talked to him last week.
Holy cow!
So.
All right.
Never heard of him.
Nothing. It's funny. Well, might as well talk about Randy because it's Randy, and Randy started where she started on the Sea Mist, where I started on the Sea Mist. It's the Garnes' family. They are somehow related with Skip too. The
They're
owners
cousins.
of that boat. They're cousins, right?
Skip Dana.
Skip Dana.
Yeah.
And the Garnes who own the Sea Mist. They own the Helen S.
Okay.
There used to be a Helen S in Boynton when I worked on the head boat. There was a Helen S next to the Sea Mist. Now there's a Helen S in Pompano here. But Randy started on that boat. It's just cool to see the history and the mates that started on a drift boat. And I used to ride my bike down there and sit behind it and wait for him to come in when I was like 12 years old. And I'd go see the charter boats in the marina, would be hanging their sailfish, and it was a totally different world back then. And finally got the opportunity after it kept going, and my parents would pay for me to go to be able to work on the boat when I was about 15 years old. And I met Randy, and now Randy runs he ran the Miss Annie for years. He's done a great job. But now you watch Tigger coming through the same mold, and it's weird. Jamie Ralph worked a little bit on the boat. His brother Dane Ralph, who mates for him, he runs the old 7 now. There's just a lot of history from that boat. It's something special about the Sea Mist. Pretty cool.
Now, working on a head boat, like growing up, right, and both of you, I mean, getting that experience, I mean, explain maybe like the benefits of working on a boat like that as opposed to maybe just working in the cockpit.
There's a lot. I mean, customers, you're dealing with customer service.
Mm-hmm.
You're dealing with 40-something people, multiple tangles. You learn how to get more efficient, more fast, and how to do your job as fast as you can to make sure everyone is out fishing instead of sitting there with a bait or whatever. You learn a lot of safety.
Yeah.
A lot of mechanics.
A lot more situations.
Everything.
A lot more shit goes down.
A lot more stuff.
Than just bringing 6 people on a boat.
And you have more people that don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
You're on a 6-pack chart. I mean, you might have 6 people that don't know what they're doing. You can reach them like this. But on our boat, like, I have to walk all the way around. I'll get people bringing squirrel fish in, venomous fish. I mean, there's so much more factors to look for and know.
So you were talking kind of before we started recording about growing up on the rail, right?
Yeah.
Take me through that a little bit. How old were you?
I was probably like 5 or 6 when I started going on the boat. My dad brought me out there. My brother used to work on the boat. Learned to know all the guys out there. We're all like family now. I mean, I would run around. They would all hand me down pliers and stuff. I'd put my rod down, jump on the rail, start baiting hooks, talking to customers, doing backlashes, whatever I could do. And then as I just got older and taller, I mean, as soon as I was tall enough, I'd be filleting fish at the table at 8 years old.
Is that
Oh
you?
my
Is that
God!
you?
No way!
That's
There you
Tig.
Digging one
Back
up.
in the day,
All right,
that's
nice.
wow.
Wow. Here, we're gonna put that right in front of the.
Wow.
They found you.
That's insane.
That's her right there.
They found the Tig.
How old are you in this picture?
I was probably like 10. I
10
don't know.
years
I was
old, huh?
young.
Oh, look at that.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Holding that mahi.
Found me.
We're gonna have to print that out, and you're gonna have to sign that for me before you leave.
She's definitely going to be somebody. I guarantee you. That's going to be cool to see how her life develops and where she goes after she gets out of that Coast Guard. That is so cool, man.
All right, we got a couple more questions in here now, Carly. We got some rolling in. We got some good ones coming
How
in.
come your brother can't pee on a boat, Chip? This is what the world wants to know. How come your brother can't pee on a boat?
I don't have a brother.
That's what.
All right, Tech Watts asks. Ask him why his brother can't pee on a boat.
Oh, who wrote that?
Tech.
I do this.
Who said that? No, about the peeing on the boat. Is that shaky?
Tech Watts.
Questions, or what are they called? And I look like the idiot trying to like
Well,
relay
who wrote
them.
the question about the peeing on the boat?
Tech Watts.
Ask
Tech
him.
Watts.
Tech Watts.
Probably because it's probably shaky. My buddy Mumph, Captain Mumph, and I don't know why I can't pee. I can't pee. I felt terrible. I took him daytime sword fishing. We're out there all day long. And he can't pee. He's like, I gotta pee. I'm like, well, jump in the water, do something. And then
There is a. I'm not gonna
no,
name
but you
names.
see that a lot on charters. Like they get stage fright or something. I don't
Really?
know what it is. Yeah, they can't pee.
There's a. I'm not gonna name names, but there's a local professional football player, former professional football player, that had that issue, and there was a tournament that they were fishing on, and some friends of ours, mutual friends of ours, took them out for a celebrity day, and then they had to drag him in the water so he could. But
Wouldn't
this
have
is
to play.
former
Wouldn't have to
NFL
play a
player.
linebacker. Would
I
he?
don't know what position he plays, and I'm a very good football fan.
Wow.
How
So-
superstitious are you?
Me? Very.
Either both
How
of you
so?
guys.
I'm not at all.
Oh.
You're not at all. I'm not at all.
I could care less. Give me a black cat, a ladder, bring 2,500 pounds of bananas on the boat, bring ladies on the boat. There's
No.
nothing. I do not believe
Look
in
at
any.
Chip. Chip's having a
superstition.
meltdown right now. Look at him.
Stop the bleeding
There's-
while we're ahead.
I believe in talent and conditions.
That's it. The idea that an
Look at-
inanimate
he's going
object
nuts.
could ever affect anything to do with your life is just bizarre to me. But hey, it's fun,
To explain your
Everybody has-
superstitions,
and I'll play
please.
along sometimes.
It's
Yeah.
everything. Like,
Give me the mystery here.
there's just so many things. You
Yeah?
can't stop an electric reel on a 6. And you know what I mean? It's like it's just there's so many things. And then when your good days are good and you're in a tournament and you do well, I don't want nobody to change their clothes and there's weird things. Don't change. Something's working, don't change it.
About Dunkaroos and all that. You into that?
You knocked
Nah,
over. There's
I'm not
a,
into any Dunkaroos.
I just wanted to see how far it really went.
No, but I'm
there's
pretty.
a salt shaker next to your foot that you knocked over.
Did I seriously?
I get some of that stuff. Like that comes kind of like the old hockey mentality. Like ice hockey has a lot of these
Yeah.
things.
The playoff beards and all that.
All sports
Well,
do,
dude,
but
I-
hockey
okay.
players take it. They'll wear their same
swear
underwear
to-
like
I
every game for 10 games or something
I
like that.
swear to God, Tig. I swear to God. I walked down the dock the day. I actually wasn't booked, right? And I'm like, yo, Carl Miller pulls in next to us. Like, yo, Cap, how was your day? He's like, not a bite. Not a single bite. I go, really? Good. I thought there was some fish out there because the day before we'd been catching some tunas and mahis and stuff. He's like, I don't get it. I can't get a bite. I look down. There's an Asian lady with a banana in her hand just chewing on it. I go, that might be a little
don't
bit
do
of your
bananas
problem
on our
there,
boat.
Buckshot. You might want to take a look at what you got going on down below there, Turbo.
I bring her right over on my boat. We'll go out there and slay them.
Sorry, can't
No
make it
chance.
up. I can't make it up. It's exactly how it
Sucking on a
happened.
banana.
Yeah.
We have a sticker on our boat that says no bananas. Absolutely, positively, no bananas.
Yeah.
I feel like if
Well,
you
Bouncer
accidentally-
doesn't like it.
Well, here's the fun.
Bouncer's the worst
I know.
with it.
If you accidentally brought them, I think you're okay. I do believe you're okay if you accidentally brought them. But if you know they're there, Houston, we have a problem. You
Dude,
know what
I
mean?
was
Yeah.
When I first went to Saudi Arabia, the guys over there had been here and they'd watched some videos, and they were big fans of Bouncers, and Bouncer was the guy that actually connected with me with them originally. So anyway, I go over there and I was there for 37 days, and the whole goal was to catch the first swordfish ever caught in the Red Sea to prove that they were there. We've got a pretty good idea, but so these guys were getting ready for getting the boat ready couple days before, and they're like, oh, we can't bring bananas on the boat, right? Isn't that the thing? They're bad luck. And I go, oh,
the
no.
Saudi guy said this?
Yeah, the Saudi guys. I go, oh, no. I go, you must have been something you misunderstood in translation. I said, what it is bananas are really good luck on the boat. You got to bring a lot of bananas. Well, sure enough, the next day I go down the boat. We're getting ready to go. And they literally bought an entire, a big stock. Like there had to be 50 bananas on the stock. I was like, hell yeah, we're going to go now, man.
We're catching a ton of them.
Well, we went out the first night. We caught it. We started off the night, caught a doubleheader swordfish. First 2 swordfish ever caught on rod and reel in the history of the Red Sea. And then made a little move and caught another. We caught 3 that night.
Yeah.
Pretty successful night. Made it back to the dock without sinking or anything like that.
See, if you didn't have bananas on the boat, you would have caught 10.
Chip's looking at him like he's going to combust.
those
like
guys
internally
now-
combust. What's that when you self-combust? That's what Chip's looking at.
Yeah, he's
Tony.
turning a
Chip's
little
right now,
red.
he's
Well, the
lying
funny
over
thing
here.
was
Did you
that
have
these-
bananas?
Well, yeah, we had a huge stock of them on the boat. They brought them on the boat because I told them they were good luck, and I was happy. I was eating them all night, and it was funny because then it just shows you how your brain works. Well, they didn't really know. Well, now we had such a great night. We made history, all these things. Well, those guys were obviously convinced that you had to have bananas on the boat when and ever since that
What
was
country was that in?
Saudi Arabia. That's 2009.
Definitely another. It's something. It's a Saudi Arabia thing.
2009.
They're golden
and,
bananas. They're plated in
Must
golden.
be that weird
100%.
flag.
And those
They're not the
guys,
same
well,
bananas.
those 2 guys, Muhammad and Ahmed, now they fish all over the world. They go all over the place fishing, and everywhere they go, they now have to have bananas with them
Really?
because it's good luck. Yeah. So
I once fished with a captain. We were fishing the Jimmy Johnson one years ago, like in the early days of the Jimmy Johnson, and he had a thing about red, like the color red.
I have-
Yeah, a lot of people don't like the
do.
red thing, right?
I do. I told an
And-
observer to exit right as he walked
Yeah.
out in the silver shellfish derby. I'm like, you're gonna have to change that rain gear because you are a walking stop sign.
Yeah.
And there ain't no way from here to high water you're getting on this boat and thinking a sailfish is gonna see some big ass red stop sign. Not happening.
So
Changed
yeah,
it.
the owner's best friend was fishing the tournament with us. So we were down at Ocean Reef. So he comes running on the boat like, "Hey, we're ready to go, right?" And it's the owner's best friend. He's got a red duffel bag with him. Captain's like, "No, leave it on the dock." He's like, "What are you talking about? He's like, "No, leave it on the dock."
That's me.
And the owner backed up the captain. He's like, "It's what he says. It's what he says." So the guy dumped all his stuff out of the bag, put it in like another plastic bag there, and just left the duffel bag on the boat. But
Yeah.
it's how extreme it gets, huh?
No, it does.
Yeah.
Talking about smashing fish, Tony.
Yeah,
you
good.
were smashing some bluefins off the coast of Florida recently, a few weeks back.
I wasn't smashing them, but I was.
Bluefins, huh?
Yeah, well,
Can
I
I
had
use
a.
the restroom?
I had a
Yeah.
trip. I had a
You gotta
trip
leave
with
the
our.
headphones on though.
You can
yeah,
leave
You
your
gotta leave
headphones
the
on.
headphones on so we can.
No,
Chip. Chip.
you're not going to reach. They're
Chip,
plugged in.
It's bad luck to take
Chip's
a pee,
taking a pee break.
without headphones on. You'll never catch another
Right.
fish if you pee without the headphones.
Don't touch the bananas in the bathroom.
Or you were banana.
I like to follow like what's going on all the time, even if I'm not fishing. I just think it's
See
cool.
what
to
I have
see
a red toilet seat. See if he can.
Oh,
if
does
he
he?
gets camera
Yeah.
shy.
Oh my God! Stop! You're gonna be like this all over the room.
It's funny.
So you caught some bluefin recently?
Yeah, so I was noticing a few weeks back that there was, I like to see what's going on. I noticed that Alex Adler and a couple guys down to the Keys had, there's bluefins pushed through over here on this coast all the time now,
right.
the last several years.
Yeah,
Both
recently been a
both
lot,
going
yeah.
north at times and going south. And so anyway, I had noticed that a couple days, I had a trip coming up on a Saturday with my Street Waves kids, streetwaves.org, which is a group of kids lacking opportunity, inner city kids. We have a whole Marine program where we do all these things for these kids. And
Really?
yeah, it's incredible.
I'd love you after this story to talk about
I
that.
will. I'll talk about. We have a thing called Cops and Kids that we do with Broward County Sheriffs. We take the kids out on the boats. Anyway, so I had that, and we're fishing very light tackle. We're in the middle of kind of outfitting this boat that we had in Jordan from Custom Rod and Reel. Let me borrow some trolling equipment for the day. So I had some 20-pound outfits, but leading into the day, I had noticed that they were, seeing and targeting and catching some bluefins down in the Keys. And so in my brain, before I went, I was like, all right, you know what? Keep an eye out because you never know what you're going to see. And sure enough, we're right off of Boca in 70 feet of water, and I look to my left, and I'm in a boat that I don't have any height, so I can't really look down, but I see a sickle fin of I grew up bluefin tuna fishing up in New England.
Yeah.
So immediately my brain immediately said that's a bluefin tuna tail, but I wasn't sure. I looked. Sure enough, there's 400 to 600. I could see 3 of them. 400 to 600 pound bluefins swimming right past Boca Inlet, 70 feet of water. All I had was 20 pound. So I fired a naked ballyhoo out on one of my riggers, put it as far back as I could, and just, grins and giggles, see what would happen. I wasn't gonna not try to get a bite, what I mean?
Right, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna try to get a bite. I'm a fisherman. Yeah. So I pull this bait, literally could not have been more perfect, right in front of the lead fish, and the fish just behind him. The lead fish didn't move, but the fish right behind him all of a sudden just lights up, and then just like that, just completely comes out of the water.
Look at that. That lead fish was probably blocking it the whole time, and that second fish, all of a sudden, boom, there you are.
And he skyrocketed.
Instinct.
I had just no one else was watching. One of the kids happened to be standing right next to me, and I was explaining, and he saw it, and he had no idea. He freaked out. But this fish came all the way out of the water, landed right on top of the ballyhoo. The outrigger line kind of stretched for a second, and then nothing happened. That was it. And then I guess we spooked him or whatever, but I never could find him again.
Mm-hmm.
I reeled in that ballyhoo. There was not a scale missing on the ballyhoo, so that fish completely missed it. But it was I didn't care. I was I was puffing my chest out a little bit that I got the bite and saw him like that. It was just
how big you think?
Fish that came out of the water was 400. I'd say.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was cool. And now the funny thing that day is, the same day we get down a little bit further, we're trolling around, and we notice there's a dive boat, and there's 2 guys in the boat. One guy was 1 flag in the water, and we're like, all right, cool. And we make sure that we don't get anywhere near that guy, and we get about 3/4 to a mile south of him, and he's now he's way in our rear view mirror. All of a sudden, the guy who's the head of Maui Good Bear, who's the head of Street Waves, he's got his 2 kids they're Hawaiians. They've been on the water since they were little.
Mm-hmm.
They're surfers, the whole thing. 9 and 11 years old. They were sitting up on the hardtop looking down. All of a sudden, they start going, a person, a human, oh my God, whatever. And all the adults on the boat were like, oh, there was a couple big sea turtles right there that we had seen, easily for a 9-year-old kid to maybe mistake a human being. But they were adamant about it, and some of the adults were trying to talk them out of it, what they saw for a second. This is all happening very quickly. And I told everyone to shut up. I had the 2 kids come down.
Hold your banana.
I said, hold your banana. So everybody stop eating your bananas for a minute. And I said to the kids, I said, listen, don't listen to any. We had some Broward County sheriffs on the boat. And I said, don't listen to anything these adults are saying. What did you see? I want to know. They were adamant about it. Well, sure enough, long story short, this guy from that boat, no flag, had gotten almost a mile away from the boat. He was starting to get tired. He had already jettisoned his tank and was kind of just floating with his beep vest on. We found him, threw him on the cover on the swim platform that we had.
He was satelliting out there?
Yeah.
Really?
And we drove him right back to his boat, and he got in the water and swam over to his boat and got in, and they all picked up the other diver came up, they all picked up their stuff, and then embarrassing with their tails between their legs, they went right back into Boca Inlet, and I videoed it.
That guy's lucky day.
Oh, yeah, I videoed it, but I didn't want to make anybody
for sure.
So, but sure enough, these kids, and the lesson there was for those kids that day was, if you think you saw something, the worst thing could happen is you're wrong. Do not keep your mouth shut. Or if those kids had just been like, oh, we're just little kids, I'm not going to say anything, I'm pretty sure that guy would have died that day because I didn't see him.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was unbelievable. Same
day
as
they had no clue that he was.
They had no clue.
He was even gone.
So they had 2 divers in the water with 1 flag, and they were watching that 1 flag. And the guy down there didn't even realize that his dive buddy had disappeared, and he was a mile away. No one knew. Wow,
it's not a very good dive buddy.
Nah, they were very embarrassed. Like you could see their faces all turned red when we pulled up to them. Like,
wow. Hey, we got your guy.
Yeah,
we got your
yeah.
human.
Have a nice day.
Can't you see we're diving over here, man? Back off the fishing road.
That was unbelievable.
Did you wipe the seat?
Oh, of course I did.
Yeah.
Was it red?
She's a
The
clear,
seat?
no.
Red seat?
She's a clear runway.
But yeah, so that was the bluefin. The bluefin. There's bluefins out there. I know. I'm telling you, especially this time of the year, be ready.
There's yellowfins.
Be ready to see them. They're in 70 to 130 feet of water. Usually they're traveling south. They're going to go around the corner and out into the Gulf of Mexico to spawn and breed. And if you are ready and you have the right bait and you know what you're doing, you can definitely target them and get a bite, and you could definitely catch one for sure. Guys, there's a couple guys in the Keys that are doing it, somewhat regular basis now.
Yeah, Marty caught one a month and a half ago, something like that.
I don't know the whole story, but locally here, and they waited at Lighthouse Point Marina. Some guys caught a bluefin, and they actually had a tag.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I don't know the whole story behind it, but they did have a tag for it.
Well, it happens occasionally sword fishing too, where you're out daytime sword fishing and you're soaking baits and you get a bite and it ends up being a bluefin. RJ's caught a couple big bluefins that way. But to me, I mean, bluefin, tuna, like anything else, there's a million ways you can target them and catch them, and there's no cooler way than putting a swimming mackerel or something out there, picking out a group of fish, targeting one fish, putting that bait right in front of them, and actually getting a fish that's not really feeding. They're migrating.
Yeah.
It's a reaction, but to get them to bite and then to catch them, that's, that's an incredible
for sure
thing to do. So the whole history
of
that.
Alex Adler loves that.
Alex Adler's one of the best in the world at that.
Yeah.
Wright Wright was great at that. Danny Beer. There's a lot of guys from around this. Remember Danny Beer?
Yeah.
Danny Beer back in the day on the Bushwhacker.
One question that we've asked a few times on this show, and I'm always curious about it too, is, everyone always likes to talk about the one they got, the big fish, you know what I mean? Like my big fish story. And it's just like, but I always really want to hear about the one that got away. What's that one that really still haunts you? Everyone's got one. No. The one. Though.
I got one for sure. Stands out more than any other one.
Yeah, everyone's got one, man. What's yours?
We're in Chub Key. We're fishing the Bahamas Championship, early 90s. And we're on the Can't Touch This, Dan Timmons. 4 minutes left in fishing on, I don't know, I forgot what, it might have been I think it was the last day of the tournament. There really wasn't anything in any place that couldn't be beaten. It wasn't the last day. That was too dramatic. But it was one of the second or third day. And end of the day, 5 minutes left. All of a sudden, this huge, where we went to the bite was off in the pocket. We went over to the jolter side, kind of got out of the pack, went out in the middle, just kind of, Dan was searching for a bite, which he was really good at finding big fish. And we get out there, and sure enough, this big, huge blue marlin comes up on the left rigger, and we're listening to the committee boat. 2 minutes left and line's in, and the thing won't eat. Dan's slowing down, turning left, turning right, and it's coming up, and it's got its head out of the water trying to get the mackerel. We're all watching. Finally, I just jump up on the covering board, and I reach up, and I wait till the fish comes up behind the bait, because I know I got less than a minute, because it's going to be lines out, and I just pull the bait out of the mackerel, out of the rigger, and just let it drop.
Let it drop right into his mouth.
And I thought that's what happened, because boom, we got him on, we call it in, everything's good. We fight this fish for 3 hours. It's a fish. I'm going to tell you, this fish was easily 750. He might have been over 8.
Tournament winner.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Would have won the whole tournament, everything would have been. And 3.5, 4 hours later, we finally get the fish up. I get him on the wire, and I still don't know what's happening because we haven't really seen. And I look, and we see this thing is foul hooked right in front of the dorsal fin, right through the hard spot, in a hard spot. It's not going to come out. It's not coming out. And the fish takes off, and we all look at each other, and now it's starting to get, 5 hours in, and we're like, all right, next time we get a chance. We could not get this fish back to where we could get the wire. So next time we get the wire, Dan's like, we're making them or breaking them. We're not letting go, and we're just going for it. This fish was still green because it had just.
Mm-hmm.
We got it up after 5 hours, and the thing was still swimming, lit up like away from the boat. And I just.
Well, you got it brighter like a goggle eye from what it sounds like.
Yeah, like a goggle eye.
Yeah.
And so I grabbed the leader. I take a bunch of root. Back then, we always use 500-600 pound leader material, big swivel, 30 feet a leader. No wind-ons or anything like that. Really, back then, at that point, when you were big fish fishing with a really experienced wireman and gaffman. And anyway, I grabbed the leader and we get him. Dan's roaring back, and the gaffman goes over the side, and we get a great shot on the fish, like. Perfect, right in the shoulders. But literally, as the gaff goes in, the fish jumps off the corner of the cockpit, like surges out of the water. 750, 800 pounds, like real short, just comes out of the water. And the gaff, literally, we watched the gaff rip all the way down the side of the fish. I hold on. I'm not letting go. I have, like, at this point now, I can't let go because I have like 4 wraps on both hands, which. If you're paying attention at Helms, don't ever do that, kids. Right. And anyway, we break the pop the leader. The leader comes back, goes off the side of my. I didn't even realize it. It hits me so hard, it literally cuts a whole giant cut right through my t-shirt, right into my skin, and then it happened so fast that it cauterized the wound. Like it cut it open and then sealed it like that. And anyway, and blood everywhere, and we bust the fish off, and that's it, disaster. We lose the fish on the gaff at the boat, and that's it. The fish is gone. We get the gaff. We couldn't even get a second.
Dark?
It was dark. We couldn't even get a second gaffing because literally, like, the gaff man gaffed the fish jumped, and like this just happened so fast. There was nothing you could do. And the gaff, we had a 14-inch double reinforced flying gaff. We had a whole ton of gaffs on that boat, but.
I guarantee you one thing.
That thing was almost straight. It almost straight. Filleted the fish all the way down the side.
I will guarantee you one thing.
What?
There was
They had
bananas
on the boat.
No, no bananas on the boat back then because Dan Timmons was a banana guy, and so we didn't. But that I literally did not sleep and there was a lot of money on the line too, but it wasn't even about that. Like Chip was saying earlier. At that point, it didn't even become anything about losing the tournament or the money or anything. It was 1, we killed the fish.
Yeah, the fish dead.
2, we didn't catch it. 3, we almost killed somebody, and we didn't. And so I still. That was 1992 or 3. What is it? 2023.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that at least 2 or 3 times a year, I will wake up in the middle of the night, shoot my head right up straight out of bed, and I'll be right back in that moment.
Yeah.
And I always say that. Until something similar happens to where the story turns out successful, it's going to haunt me forever.
Yeah.
So, but there's other ones, but that one
That's
was
a
no
heartbreaker.
question because it was just, holy crap.
That's a big fish, man.
Yeah.
Let's see the scar, man.
There's not really. I mean, I still have a little remnants there, but back when really important advice. If you're going to get scars all over your body, do it when you're in your 20s.
Yeah.
So by the time you get to be 58, they're all gone. They heal up.
What you got, Chipper?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, there's so many. There's so many. It's so hard.
You got one that really haunts you, though? Think about it. What do you got? What do you got there, Tigger?
I mean, I haven't really. I mean, one is just at the gaff. I had this little kid.
We just lost to Kobe last week.
Chip, we don't
You
have
just
to
lost to
talk.
Kobe last
Here we
week
go.
on
Look
the
at
gaff.
this. A
No,
recent
no.
every
I
day.
wasn't on the
Current
gaff.
events.
I wasn't on the gaff. I pitched a bait to him. He was off of a shark. Everyone had their lines up because we were moving. Kobe came up. I saw him. Screamed, Kobe, Kobe, Kobe. I grabbed a random boat rod just out of the holder, pitched a bait. This thing came up, ate it, ran off of the pulpit. I ran up there, held it, and then it broke. And now every day I walk down the dock or see Chip or Eddie, they look at me, they go like this, I go, oh.
Jeez.
No, but the most haunting
your friends
thing
are there to
is-
make you feel better.
is
At
a
least they
Kobe.
like you.
I mean, one is the one. I don't know. Hopefully, I didn't tell the story the first time I had Nick on the boat or Nick on this podcast with me.
I don't think we asked you about the one that got away on that one.
It
But.
was Sizzle, Nick Cardella, me, and Tim Maddox. Mario called from 4G and called and said that there were some sails biting up off the Dodge wall. So we ran up there. We were pre-fishing for Lauderdale billfish or something. We were in my contender, And we get up there and we have 2 giant bluefins eat. Speaking of bluefins. And they're on 20-pound and with a 40-pound leader. And one goes inshore and one goes offshore. Nick keep saying Cruel. Nick Cardello is 16 or 17. It was Maddie's age. I think it was 17. And I'm like, well, somebody's going swimming because we're going to get spooled here. It was a 60-40 split and it was a disaster. And Zydar went to go get the rod from Nick, and Nick's like, I'm going in the water. So we put like 5 life jackets on Nick. There's like 3 knots in north side. And we start chasing. So Nick's gone. He's in the water fighting his tuna. We are chasing Timmy's tuna. We're like 700. I haven't seen Nick for like 15 minutes. We got Tim break him off. And Timmy's like, Chippy, I've never hooked one here. I go, I don't care. Just break the fucking thing off. I go, I'm not going to tell this kid's parents that I lost him at sea. It's not happening. I'm not breaking him off. I said, then jump in the water. So now he's like, will you go with me, Brian? He had his friend Brian with him. So now Tim Maddox and Brian are in the water. There's like no life jackets left in the boat. They got like 12 life jackets strapped to every portion of their body. They're fighting a bluefin. And I'm trying to find Nick, and I'm like, I'll never forget. It was me and Chris Idar. My legs were shaking. I'm like, we're going to find him, Chris. We're going to find him. I'm not even worried about Tim. He could just be out to sea at this point. And I finally find this boat with these guys circling Nick. I'm like, Nick, do you have your tuna? He's like, no, I lost them. I'm like, get in the boat. So I get him in the boat, and of course, it's easy to find Tim. It's Tim. It's the way his luck is.
You can hear him.
Yeah. Chappie, get over here. Get Timmy in the boat. We fight the fish for 4 hours. And we can see him. That looked like 300, maybe 400 pounds. And he's just pinwheeling. And we shaped him off. And that was a heartbreaker. But it was a story.
That's maximum effort there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Everybody's got a few, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen. Before we break here, all right, we got one more last-minute question that came in. And
at the buzzer?
At the buzzer. And as per usual, Eric Leach always brings the good questions.
All right, Eric. I thought we were just getting started.
And he asked Chip if he's still drinking Bud Light.
Oh,
hey,
gosh.
So
that's a hard thing to quit. Isn't it just like a temporary thing?
I don't think so, buddy.
No.
Well, no,
I hear the procedure's pretty permanent.
I think I'm going to wrap my conch in Bush. I think I'm going to go Bush Light.
Bush Light?
Yeah.
I don't think you are. I think you're lying. Total Bud Light.
I always say
it's an acquired taste.
Life is too short to drink crappy beer.
Right, and life is also too short to drink crappy rum. That's why we drink nothing but the best.
Nothing but the best.
Pilar rum.
Boom.
That's right.
Never to be a spectator. All right. So listen, talked about a lot of things today, right? But I think the most important takeaway is that you guys are awesome, right? We met Tigger, and I'm pleasantly surprised and not surprised.
Can we keep her?
Yeah, seriously.
Can we keep
so
her?
Really, I'm just inspired by you. I mean, I'm very impressed. And surprised isn't the word. Impressed is the word. You know, and I'm happy to know you now. So thanks for coming on the show today. Yeah, thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. And you guys are always awesome. And I think really the big takeaway here is that, you know, the fishing and just the life, you know, behind it is very much a brotherhood, you know, and sisterhood and all that. And
no question about it.
Yeah, and I want people to kind of really remember that when they go about their day, because it's an easy thing to go the other path and, you know, let your ego get the best of you, because we always end the show the same way every time. We say, you know, always do your best and then just let God do the rest. Your ego is not your amigo.
Yeah,
right? And I think people need to kind of just keep that perspective, because you don't want to be that captain. You don't want to be that mentor that's unapproachable, right? And that's tough to talk to, or because Lord knows there is a lot of that out there.
100%.
And I don't really think there's any place for it. You know, it's not the way it should be.
It actually should be a red flag. People that are like that, you don't want to. It's a great way to know right away. You don't want to be around them.
Yeah, and
Move on.
when we
And
talk
I
about
try, like, on Instagram, when people message me, I get right back to them. I might not know them, but I mean, and if you want to message me or call me or anything, I'm open for anybody can call me. My number's on Instagram. You can message me on Instagram. Any advice I can give you, like you said with the guy with the painting, it's the same thing.
yeah,
You know, that's how we're only here for a short time, and you might as well help others develop into who they're going to be. And just if I could give any advice, it's just go back to the word we started with, was passion, and don't worry about how good, it's like whether you played basketball or whatever you did growing up, it's just you could take as many free throws as you want, but you're not just become a great basketball player. It's about learning situations, and that's what makes you a great fisherman. Is being fishing with more and more good fishermen, the best fishermen you can find to fish with, and then learning going through situations so you know what's going to happen during them situations.
Yeah.
If you can do that, that's what develops you and that's what molds you, but you have to have the passion to do that.
Well, you have to also go do it. You have to have the experience and opportunity to do it. And it's funny, like you said earlier about making money. The first 5 years, once I left Long Island and decided that was what I was going to do for a living, I don't think for the first 5 jobs I had in the industry, I ever even asked what it paid.
Yeah.
I just knew that the boat was, oh, you're going to St. Thomas? I'm in.
Yeah.
I don't care what I'm getting paid. I'm going to St. Thomas.
That's
I'm
hard
sure
to
there'll
find.
be money somewhere,
It's hard
right?
to find. It's
Yeah.
hard to find. That's what it should be. That's what makes the best of the best, I think.
When you're young, you can afford to do that.
Well, that's when you got to do it.
And that's why you got to
You
do
know,
it.
That's probably
Don't
a
worry
good
about it.
takeaway, and it's probably symbolic that she's sitting here with us today for that
Yeah.
part of the conversation too, especially, and because here's someone that's, just, I mean, I don't
The
think
money's
you really
all-
worry about how
if
much
you're
money
good-
you're making right now.
Nah, if you're
You know what I
really
mean?
good at
And that's-
something,
because when you
money-
get to be like our age, and it's like really, money becomes such a burden,
Yeah.
and such a drag.
In a way,
it
it does.
really
Well,
does.
what-
It's such a
Well,
responsibility
yeah, 'cause
now
you
when
have
you
the
get older. And
responsibility.
you
It's
get
different when you have the house
family and
payment
kids and
the
like
kids
house payments
yeah.
and boat payments and
different.
like all that. And it's just,
Then
it becomes a burden.
Yeah.
And at what point in your life did you know that this was going to be your life and was going to pay the bills?
Me?
Both of you.
I just gambled. I worked in the car business for 14 years, from when I was like 20 to when I was like 34. And my dad sold a Honda dealership and didn't tell anybody. And I didn't like that. I didn't trust. I was like, I don't like this. I'm gonna start fishing. And I was a mate. I was the second mate on the Sandman at the time for Neil Orange, and I had my own contender. I'd always competitively fished. So when they sold the dealership, my mom actually paid my boat loan off, and I'm like, well, the money that I was paying for my boat loan, I can use as a slip payment, and I can just start fishing. And this was in 2008, but I had been fishing since 97, 98 is when I first started like competitively fishing, and I started. So it was in 2008 is when I started doing it full time, and it's been ever since then.
I knew I was going to be in the fishing world probably when I was 11 years old. Just being with I had an advantage. My aunt and uncle owned a charter boat in Shinnecock, and I loved everything about it, from chipping ice to cutting up other boats' chunks for tuna. I didn't care what it was. If I was down by the marina and the dock, I was in my element, and I knew that somehow, some way, I was going to make a living doing it. And when I told my parents I wasn't going to college, then they knew I was pretty serious. And to their credit, they always supported every one of their children. They knew I was passionate about it. And I don't know if they thought I was actually going to end up making a career of it, but they absolutely supported my decision to try it out right out of high school. So thankful that I had, people that actually supported my crazy dreams.
It's important. Yeah. It's important. It really is important. I mean, the people that are around you when you're a kid, and I know you can probably speak to your father about this. Probably the first person that comes to your mind.
Oh, yeah.
Right, without your dad and fishing
Absolutely.
on that little center console.
That's what got me into it.
Yeah, that's awesome. really, as I know my dad did. You know what I mean? I lost my dad about a year and a half ago. You know what I mean? So I'm right there with you on how that feels right now. You know, and it's not easy. You know what I mean? But you take the good that they laid in you, and you keep moving forward with it.
Yeah,
because we're all only here for a short while.
That's it, man.
Thing.
That's it. I think that was I read that God, I think it was Warren Buffett, or it was some quote from him that basically said, "Life is not as long as you think it is."
No,
I try to, Dennis. I do a lot of stuff with a lot of different people, and it keeps me very well grounded. And you see people and some of the things they have to go through in life, and they're not going to have a very long life, no matter what, because of their cards they were dealt. And I tell you, even you hear a lot of people like today's Monday. And how many people do you hear? Oh, it's Monday.
Yeah, right.
Oh, let me tell you something. You only have a finite number of Mondays that are allotted to you.
Yeah.
There's no bad Mondays. Monday is the greatest day of the week. It means the beginning of another week of opportunity. And, you just got to look at it. You got to try to work. I didn't always have that attitude, but you got to work towards that in life, because the older you get and the more experiences you have around other people and see what happens to other people and what other people have to deal with. You could live to 120 years old and it's like a snap of a finger. So
that's how I knew I needed the jump from my career in the music industry to open up the studio 10 years ago.
Yeah, you got that story.
I started hating Mondays.
Take risks.
I started hating Mondays.
Yeah, there you go. You changed it.
And I used to like the Mondays there, and then the industry changed, and streaming took over, and physical media, like we were selling CDs and all that. And then it really became a very stressful place, and I was like,
what's that song? Just another man.
Yeah. All right, listen. We're gonna jump. Thank you guys so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having us.
Right. Fantastic.
I really want to just give a shout out to Papa's PLR Rum. All right. I want to give a shout out to Joey Accardi. Two of our families that always are there to support us greatly. I can't say enough about them. I mean, no matter what we ask for, no matter what we go through, they're right there with us going through it together. So very, very thankful to them. I want to thank Finor Sunglasses and the Pure Fishing family for being in full support of the studio. The W sauce, we got to try out some of the W sauce today with Chippy's ribs, right?
Very good.
Thank you very much. I mean, and they were delicious. And we laid some groundwork to get that rib off in the works, right? And we're gonna make that happen.
Unless he's scared of me,
destroy him.
I know.
So,
you're gonna destroy him.
Rubak.
I'm here.
Where are you, Rubak?
I'll be your sous chef if you want.
And I want to thank Pelagic, right?
Yep.
So thank you for putting this together, and thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for representing Team Pelagic. We have nothing but love for Team Pelagic. And that's another great family that's always been in full support of what we do. Oh, thank you very much, Catherine. And also, Pelagic Nights. Take us through Pelagic Nights real quick on what goes on. If you're in a local Lighthouse Point area, you want to go to Papa's Raw Bar, we put on Pelagic Nights.
Right. It's a cool little kind of thing that Troy Gantner and myself kind of came up with. And what we do is one Friday a month at Papa's Raw Bar, we do a thing, we call it Pelagic Nights at Papa's. We have a tent, we've got giveaways, we have some signature items on the menu that if you order them that night, you get some free stuff. But most importantly, we bring attention to a local charity every month. It could be Pet Rescue, it could be Boys and Girls Club, it could be a family who lost a parent in a terrible accident. It's always a local charity that we can really have an effect on immediately. And we do a raffle. We got Eddie Forbes Art. We got Big Dog Tackle. We got Boathouse 954. Of course, Papa's Raw Bar. We just recently got Funky Buddha Brewery on board. And we just have a really fun night. We raise money. And then we donate and awareness to, autism or whatever it is, and veterans. I mean, just about anything. If you have a local charity that you'd like to get recognized, you could certainly get in touch with myself or Dennis. We'd love to put you on the schedule. And we've raised, we're getting close to $100,000 just in,
that's awesome.
$5 raffle tickets here over the last couple of years. And we've just made some really great differences in people's lives. And most importantly, we've created this little group of people amongst some of those businesses that I just met, a little bit of fellowship between guys, and we've branched out and done other things with it too. We do a huge project at Christmas where we pick out families and we give 8 or 10 families a complete Christmas from A to Z, Christmas tree lights, presents, trips, public shopping cards, spa days for the moms. I mean, you name it, we do it. We did like a $30,000 worth of Christmas this past year together.
Shit, last time I saw you, Tony, you were in Target doing a Habitat for Humanity. He was shopping
that was that project. I was grabbing some last minute lights,
Christmas lights to go put up for something.
But yeah, so it's that's the other cool thing about doing these things is and with Pelagic Nights, we've got this really nice little group of guys now. Some of them weren't really into all that much of charity stuff or giving back, or some were, but they've now all been just motivated by it and see the benefits and been inspired by it. So now we're able to help more and more people, and we're just going to continue to do that and grow. And if anybody's interested, our next Pelagic Nights at Papa's is coming up on Friday, April 21st. This month's charity is actually going to be Michaela Whitmer's charity.
Oh, Trash Can
Slam's
nice.
coming up, which Pelagic sponsors every year. So we're in celebration of that. We're going to do the Pelagic Nights in honor of her charity. She just got her charity to be a 501c3, the Whitmer Made charity. And her big cause since high school has always been autism awareness. The Deerfield Beach Elementary has a tremendous autism program there. So we'll be raising money and awareness for autism, and you can register for the Trash Can Slam. But yeah, come out April 21st and just check out what it's all about. It's a lot of fun, and just fishermen and people from the community getting together to help other people in need.
All right, Tony, you're the man. That's awesome. That really is great stuff, and it's inspiring. And I want everyone that just listen to that you just look at your own life. If you're not doing anything to help out, we're creating avenues here to do so. Like, we're bringing on people that are doing good in their community, like every episode, right? So
we should do a show.
Make a call. You know what I mean? Get involved. Like, please, there's way. If you listen to the Connected by Water show and you're not helping out and you want to help out, I mean, we're offering you ways to do it. Like, bringing on guys like Tony, bringing on guys like Chip. We're doing stuff all the time. So please help out. It makes a difference. It really does matter.
And it'll make a difference in your life too.
Yeah,
trust
100%. Me. Oh, then we talk about that. Listen, you can win the lottery. The money's fleeting, right? But when you do good in somebody's life, you take that with you forever.
I know we're done, but let me just give you two quick stories.
Not really.
Two quick stories. So one, we have another program. We have Mission Fishing.
Yep. With RJ?
RJ Boyle and Tony Davis, and it's a great organization. We take special needs kids, families, sisters, caregivers out on the water, fishing, boating, whatever. When you're out on the water, you got a 6-year-old kid, you're anchored up, it's too rough to go in the ocean, you're anchored up in the bay, and you're catching pinfish. You got a 6-year-old little boy on the boat who's highly autistic, nonverbal, has never said mommy or daddy, has never said a word his entire 6 years that he's been on the planet. He catches his first little grunt or pinfish. The fish comes over the rail. The kid looks at his mother and father and goes, "Mommy, daddy, fish." And both parents collapse on the deck. Everybody on the boat is sobbing, crying.
Are you kidding me?
It happens all the time. Where literally being out there on the water has that type of effect on these kids, and they just react. We've had doctors tell us that there was kids going through cancer surgeries that they were very doubtful that these kids were going to make it through the surgery. But they had we had this one girl, we promised her that when she got done with her charity, we'd take her out and catch her first sailfish. The doctor told us that probably the reason she made it through that surgery is because she had that in her brain that she wanted to catch that sailfish, so she made it through that surgery, caught the sailfish. And then the last story I'll tell you about is these kids, a lot of them are, cerebral palsy, spinal muscular atrophy, every kind of horrible disease you could ever think of. But not one of these kids ever complains. They're all really, really happy to be alive because it's relative. They don't know anything different.
They love Mondays.
They love Mondays.
They love Mondays.
They love Mondays. And
100%.
this kid, Josh Davis, and I always tell this story because it's on. I was just with him for Easter service on Sunday morning at sunrise service. We're down in the Keys with the main attraction guys. They always donate their boats for a weekend for us for our special needs kids. And we're down there fishing, and it's getting a little hot. So Josh's mom moves his wheelchair up underneath the overhang on the boat we're on, and I'm standing next to Christian, his brother. We're catching some yellowtails, and he's watching me give Christian, his older brother, who's his hero, little tips on how to get the bigger yellowtails that are kind of back in the spread. And he watches this for 10 or 15 minutes. All of a sudden, I hear a bunch of commotion. I can understand what he's saying. He's calling my name. I'm like, oh, what does Josh want? So I put down my rod. I go up to the thing, and I lean down. I go, Josh, what's up, man? What do you want? He just looks at me, and he goes, Tony, I love you.
Oh.
And that was it. That was the reason. He watched me. He watched me with his brother, and he just. And let me tell you, man, it's so powerful.
That's really cool.
That type of stuff happens all the time to everybody.
That's reward enough right there.
At Mission Fishing, you have 8 different boats will go out in 8 different directions. No one really knows what's happening on each boat. And when we get back, it's unbelievable. Every guy will have, oh my God, you're not going to believe what happened today. I'm not going to. We had a kid last week, Adrian. He's actually, if you look at our flyer for this month's Pelagic Nights at Papa's for autism, it's his picture from that day. And he's got his hand up like this. It's a very common hand gesture for highly autistic kids. That's why we picked the picture. But this kid, Adrian, you can pick he's like a savant. Any day of the year, pick a date. December 13th, January 12th, June 5th, July, any month, any day randomly. He'll tell you, that's a Tuesday. That's a Wednesday. He knows.
Oh, wow.
He literally could tell you every single day of 2023 coinciding with the date what it is. We did it 60 times in a row. He never even came close to, and he loves it too because he's like showing,
showing off.
Yeah,
that's good.
Wow.
So, anyway, just little anecdotes on, and you see all these kids. I mean, it doesn't matter what you fish with veterans. We fish with veterans have had their legs blown off, their arms blown off, head injuries. I've never had a veteran that's lost a leg or an arm or a limb ever complain about it. They would immediately do the same thing all over again if they had to go do it again. I mean, you meet some of these, you talk about heroes, I get emotional about it. My family has all served in the military. I've had a lot of people in combat. My cousin just got back from the Middle East a couple of weeks ago. He was there for 8 months. But I get emotional about it because you meet these men and women that served our country and that they're still alive, but they sacrificed like serious deal. Yeah. They're in big trouble physically, mentally. They have all these demons. Not a single one of them I've ever met has ever said, I wish I never went there. I wish I never screw my country or nah. Every one of them go right back again. That's probably what you'll be like one day, Tigger. Yeah, so thank you for Tigger's going to be serving our country in the U.S. Coast Guard, so that's not something to take lightly. It's an amazing, very, very selfless thing to do for our country.
For sure. Listen, you're awesome. I love this.
You're awesome.
If you want to go, listen, if you want to go fishing with the best of the best, listen, on Chips Ahoy Charters, right?
Absolutely.
Check them out.
We got a big one last week. Did you see that one?
Yeah, no, I did see it actually. That was huge.
I think it almost committed suicide for us.
Really?
No, we cut him off and gaffed him. It was pretty cool.
Before we leave, I need to mention our Starbright Do-Gooder of the Week.
Ooh.
So listen, we always mention the Do-Gooder of the Week. Our program with Starbright, and it's really a nominee program. So anyone can nominate a do-gooder, and if we choose the nominee that we get message to us, whether it's me or Corey or Derek Redwine, so those are my fellow artist friends, we work with Starbright to come up with these do-gooders in both their area and our area, or anywhere, not only just in Florida, but anywhere in the country. People can nominate a do-gooder, and we will send them about $200 worth of Starbright stuff. right? And it's got, the degreaser and the reggae sponge and, all the salt off and all the great products that are very
Nice.
environmentally friendly.
Yep.
Right? The boat wash.
Good stuff.
Right?
Great
Really,
company.
this stuff works great, and it's not bad on the environment like a lot of the other chemical products are.
Yeah.
So this week's do-gooder is Caleb Couture from Palm Bay, Florida, and he is the winner. He's a habitual do-gooder, and he does good deeds all the time. He's a charter captain up in the Palm Bay area. So we're going to say thank you, Caleb. You
Thank
are
you,
our
Caleb.
do-gooder of the week.
Way to
And
go,
You're going to
Cap.
be receiving this. And since it's winter chicken dinner time, we need to choose the question, the best asked question during our podcast here for a bottle of Papa's Pilar Blonde. So you guys need to help me. Is it, Tech Watts asked about the brother can't pee on the boat, and then you got the bluefin tuna question. You got
It's
Eric
the
Leach about the Bud Light, but we can't be Eric because he already won a couple weeks ago.
Or the
so
superstitious.
It's got to be the bluefin tuna question.
the superstitious one. We talked about the bananas.
The superstitious one was good too.
That or about Randy Yates.
Yates.
Have you
it's
talked to
not
Randy?
going to be Randy.
Have you talked to him lately?
Have you talked to him?
All right,
Oh my
we're going to make it the superstitious question. You think? We talked a lot about bananas.
The super.
I mean, it went far.
All
Yeah.
right, we're going to do that.
Sounds good.
All right, we're going to do that. All right, so Chris Lemieux wins bottle of
Oh, Chris.
Papa's
No.
Pilar Blonde.
Mew, mew.
sorry.
Good fisherman.
Yeah.
Chris
He's
Lemieux.
so involved. He doesn't miss a freaking. That's the one that screwed me all up last time. What did he ask me? He asked me something.
Chris is always good for a question.
Yeah, he's always good for a question.
There's a guy that
So-
knows how to catch a fish or two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you think?
Yeah.
So, all right, cool. Listen, thank you guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Your ego is not your amigo. Always do your best, and remember, at the end of the day, just let God do the rest, and do not ever forget.
And we're connected by water.
No matter where we are, no matter what we're doing, we're
That's right.
all connected by water.
Love it.
Thank you guys.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
See ya.
Safe travels.